Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Gaming Podcast. Once again, I am Bradley and I am joined by Stu. I'm messing up these intros because, hey, I couldn't be a proper news anchor because I don't remember how to start things and I don't have scripts. The world doesn't have scripts. The world could be crap. That's what I often say. The world's a dark and miserable place at times, but we're here to bring you some joy, bit of confusion, mostly joy and a bit of light. Stu, help me. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, we were just before we were recording, we were trying to sort out microphone levels and stuff, and it's both difficult and boring, which is like the worst kind of work that you can have. But I think we've got there, hopefully.
Yes, I am going fingers crossed on that one.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's stuff's weird. Stuff never just works, and it should.
Yep.
And it's annoyed that it doesn't. But there you go. Do you know what else is annoying, Stu? Because I'm going straight for it today.
Go for it.
Video games.
Certainly
some
are.
of them are anyway. Not all of them. Some of them. J.K. Rowling's. Ugh. You don't want her video game. That's really annoying.
No. Oh, jeez.
We'll have a longer discussion about that one day. But boy, I've seen some pretty hot takes. Both sides, really.
Yeah.
Both ways. I'm not going to defend J.K. Rowling one little bit, but I've seen people be vilified because they want to play the game. Other people vilified because they're boycotting it, and it's just the one person who's getting away with it sometimes is the person you should be aiming your eye at.
I know, right? It's mental. But yeah, we'll definitely have to have a deep dive on that one.
Oh, yes. Now, I know you've not been playing Hogwarts Legacy.
God, no.
I've not been playing Hogwarts Legacy.
God, no.
I've now got a better segue, so what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing a few things, but definitely understand and that's such a hot button topic, that Harry Potter stuff, and it's really weird because it's really big. Like, I don't think it's just in the gaming sphere, and it's not just in the kind of upper echelons of people who read all the newspapers. I think it's a pretty common thing, and I think a lot of people are just like, well, yeah, I know she's transphobe, but I'm not gonna let that impinge on my enjoyment of Harry Potter. And there's a good argument for doing that. I'm not sure I'd subscribe to it, but you can argue that if you can't separate art from artists, that you can end up in a very miserable life, because you never have any fun because most stuff is terrible. But yeah, so it's a funny time. It's a funny time. So I try and play games that haven't directly contributed to people being hurt, but you never really know. A good way around it is buying secondhand, that if you really want to, and if you're not sure. But yeah, it's a funny old world. But the first game I've been playing is not secondhand anyway. It's a direct purchase that I got from Steam, and it's Terminator Resistance. Now, it's been out for a while. It's this first-person shooter. It really doesn't need much introduction at all because it's like a Terminator game. It's a first-person shooter, so it kind of explains itself. But they've been.
It's a dating sim. It's a dating sim. That would have been a shot.
Yeah, no, it's a hentai game. Yeah, that's what it is.
I'd be up for that. Actually, that sounds like that'd be pretty.
It'd be
cool.
quite funny. Yeah, it'd be hilarious. Yeah.
I mean, we've had like a bird dating sim, Hatterful boyfriend. So why not a Terminator dating sim?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, much harder. Oh no, I was going to say something like it'd be much harder to like create titillation that upset people, and then I was like, oh no, that'd just be like a challenge to some people then. So no, I'm like, let's pretend I didn't say that. But yeah, unsurprisingly, the game is about as far from titillating as you could possibly get. It's in the burnt and blackened future of the Terminator franchise, and full of Skynet employees striding about the place, deciding you're not, working hard enough for them, so killing you and all that. But yeah, I suppose the one difference is, and it's like a mid-tier game. I'm sure even the developers would, be happy with me saying that. Actually, they probably wouldn't. So this is just for the developers. Your game is a top-tier game, people. It's great. But no, it is good. It's a really good game. So yeah, it's a first-person shooter. You've got to loot, scavenge from around the place, and you've got to shoot stuff. So it's got a little bit of The Last of Us style, resource collection going on at the same time. and upgrade paths and stuff, but it's very light in that way. But it starts you off against, minor Skynet bots and things like that, like drones and spider bots and all of that kind of thing, leading up to the more powerful machines, and you start off with less powerful weapons and work your way up to bigger ones, and that makes a lot of sense. It's a really good way of just getting you into that future war, and making the Terminators feel like a really solid physical presence and difficult to defeat without you getting bored because you've got nothing to shoot. So it does it really cleverly, and it might not look particularly special, and it might not have any particularly amazing weaponry so far, at least where I've got, but it's very solid, it's entertaining, it's well constructed, the atmosphere is good, music's good, and so far it's like, thumbs up from me, because it's feeling like being part of the Terminator universe, which is a bit of a challenge, really.
Yeah, it's I think I've seen it, and it's one of those games where I go, if I see it in a good set, I'll pick it up, and then generally I forget about it and never pick it up. But it's always struck me as a popcorn game. You'll play it, go, this is about it, and then move on, never to remember it again. Yeah,
and that, as we've said in the past, that's completely cool. It's great to have stuff like that, and there's an argument that there aren't enough things like that, really. We debate the cost of indie games quite a bit, normally towards the positive of, oh my god, they're so cheap. But there's that thing of sometimes when you charge more, people see it as a premium or, better quality or better value, and they go for it because it's more expensive. It's the way that things work. If you price things too cheaply, people think it has no value. It's a funny one, and I think they must be doing okay with the sales, even though it's been quite a long time since it came out, because I got it for $13.99, but it normally hovers around the £25 mark without being dropped constantly. So that's a really good sign. It says to me that it's probably selling on the strength of the quality of the game, but also the franchise name. So they don't need to undercut themselves, which is really, really nice.
Yeah, it's weird. Terminator's a weird one as well, because yes, it's out on all the movies and everything, and there's the comics that you probably got for it as well. They've done that Sarah Connor Chronicles TV show that didn't go down too well. I never actually watched it.
It's good.
I do fancy giving it a go.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I do fancy giving it a go, but I know it didn't. Did it get cancelled in the end? I'm sure it got cancelled. Yes. Is that because it's got a strong female lead in it by any chance?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But it's always struck me as one of those going, they keep trying to reinvent this as a movie series. It's a video game series now. It's not because it hasn't, but the Terminator, you could do so much with this as a video game series. It's one of those where the first one I thought, really good. Second one moved away from what the first one was and was one of the best action films I've ever seen. I think the first one was a lot darker and had a more of a nuanced story to it, but we're not discussing the film's histories and stuff like that. And then everything they did afterwards, I went, that's video game writing. That is clearly a video game writer.
Yeah.
Turned it into a video game. And that's where it should be. And then, but some of the attempts have not been great. But average is fine. It's the same as the Tomb Raider games. There's a reason they've never translated to films properly. They work as video games. And Uncharted works as a video game, doesn't work as a film. The Last of Us, I dare say, will run into the same problem. It's going to work as a video game, will not work as a film. And then you get the issues whereby, I'm going on a slight tangent, I do apologise, whereby they try and they go, we've got to appease the fans of the games, and then they do it like the Silent Hill film did, which was it was a good film, the Silent Hill film. And then they went, but we'll put Pyramid Head in it, and they kind of that's where it went, no, that's not what Pyramid Head is. You was doing well until you tried to sort of go to what the fans wanted. If you want to take a film and take a game series and run with it and do your own thing. I almost respect, and you can all stop listening to me after this if you want, I almost respect Paul W.S. Anderson for what he did with the Resident Evil series. Now, they're not good films by any stretch of the imagination, but he took that source material and went, okay, it's up, and then went off and did his own thing. And I respect that, because the Resident Evil films, apart from a couple of characters, have nothing to do with the games at all.
Yeah.
And I respect that. That's fine. I'd rather see that. Take it and then run with it in another way. Rather than trying to go, oh, look, video game people, you'll remember this bit. But the Terminator game, I will pick that up one day. I will pick it up one day, because I've always looked at it and gone, that'll kill a weekend. That's a good way to kill a weekend, that game. And by what you said, it sounds like that's the sort of thing I would love to do over the course of a weekend or a week or something.
Yeah, and you're right about the game writing and stuff. And I just think there's a lot of. It's not very interesting for us to talk about. Why games don't make good films. I think it's pretty obvious to everybody. It's just your character has to be a blank slate, pretty much. And people talk about them. And you can't make a film out of that and there's no arc. So there's all sorts of reasons why they're never going to be particularly good. But what is interesting is how some films really don't deserve sequels, and that's why they that's why they work as comics and games and things like that. And Terminator and Predator as well, which is recently in the news, are very much like that. And like Prey has got great reviews because it's a well-made film, but it is essentially the first film again. It's there are obvious differences, but really the core of it, the bones of it, it's the same premise. It's all of that. And James Cameron did this funny thing with both Aliens and Terminator 2, where he flipped them so they could be the only thing the first one wasn't. So the first one was a horror in both instances, and in the second one it was all out war, and it had that. They both had that apocalyptic kind of feel of this is the end. It's either the end for this group, it's the end for this way of existence. It's the end of this future that might happen. It's like an ending. It's like encapsulated. So it's like taking one film that seems like it can't, like it's a horror, so it can't have an ending other than a bad one, and turned it into a war that ends that story. And, the only way that you can carry on with them is by just pandering to people and going, yeah, we know you want to see more of this, so, well, okay, we'll give you more content. And it is just that then. It's just content, And that's fine with games, because really a lot of the time, I am circling back to the point that a lot of the time a game just needs, like an action game particularly, just needs a hook to hang the gameplay on, and the important thing is the physical storytelling, the story that you tell with your movement and actions, like superhero stories do, and the visuals, which are the environmental storytelling. And that's why I'm a big fan of environmental storytelling, because you want to play a game, and I'm talking about action games. You want to play an action game and you want to just be a part of that world. So it's like stepping into a world. And when you go into a world that has pre-existed, like the Aliens franchise or Terminator or Predator, it's enough. That's enough. That's all you need. But we don't need films. But anyway, there you go.
No. But what you make is a really good point. So you can look at like some extremes with it as well. Like you mentioned, James Cameron was brilliant in terms of he took a first film, which was, I'd even argue that Terminator was a slasher film.
Yeah.
It was a slasher horror. That's what it was. But it was slow. It was methodical. It had a story to it. Aliens was a horror. It was a pure horror, just so happened to be in space. It wasn't a sci-fi film. I will argue that to the day I'm dead. Alien was not a sci-fi film. It was a pure horror. However, he then went right, okay, look, people aren't going to want more. They're saying we can't tell that same story. And both became action films. Different types of action films, you know. It was like Terminator was just all out, whoa! And Aliens became just a sci-fi action film.
Yeah.
I don't mean just a. They were both the masterpieces in their own right. And arguably better than their source. And then you've got Wes Craven, who I think is a master of this. The first Freddy Krueger film, Nightmare on Elm Street, was a horror with some light elements. And I felt the light elements in it were important. Because, and I'm coming to a point in a minute to do with video games, so bear with me. The light elements in that, the slightly comedic elements in that, were needed to give the audience a sense of familiarity, a sense of making them feel at ease at just the right moment so you could pull the rug and then the horror really hit. Now, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all got progressively worse, but funnier. They all got to that so bad it's good stage. Then, just at the right time, Wes Craven comes back into it and goes, look, Freddy's become a joke. Let's make a film, which I will say arguably is the second best Freddy film ever made. And that's Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Because it was meta before meta was meta. And he got it. He just went, look, Freddy Krueger's just become more than what the film was. Right? Everyone seems to have forgot what the first film was about. Freddy Krueger was a child rapist and a killer. But he celebrated. And they took that and worked that brilliantly to tell a different story, which, in my opinion, has aged so well. I mean, he's almost reversed unsoured milk with that game, because that feels like, because I remember that getting an absolute lashing from all corners when it first came out, and for me, I think it's aged so well. Now, games also do similar things, and you can either go the complete simplicity route, such as we spoke last week about Don't Die, Mr. Robot, which has a premise to it, which is collect the fruit, avoid the obstacles, try not to die, you will die, and that's the game. There's no story, but that's the story behind it. And then you get these over convoluted, like, oh look, we've rebooted Lara, and oh, she's so vulnerable this time. You want to protect the poor little girl, but she's a murderous thing as well. You know, oh, she can handle herself. It's like you're kind of confusing what you want from her. Oh, she's so heartbroken that she's had to kill someone, then proceeds to kill another 500 people. You know, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in terms of storytelling, which is why it doesn't work as a film. Now, what you then get is, I think this is where Insomniac are geniuses. Take their accessibility settings out of it, and I've been able to play their game of Spider-Man more than most others because of the accessibility settings. It does another thing right, and that's balance. It doesn't tell a Spider-Man origin story. It doesn't need to. We all know Spider-Man's origin story. So, you know, again, it's why the recent Tom Holland Spider-Man works, I think, as a film series better than the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield ones, because there's no origin to it. He's there. And we all know how he gets it. And this Peter Parker in the Spider-Man game works. There's no origin story. We don't need it. We know how he becomes Spider-Man. We know how most of the villains arrive, because he's just ingrained in our consciousness now. But what they also get is a gameplay balance. So it's an open world. And open worlds always fall into the trap. Horizon Zero Dawn, which is brilliant. Forbidden West, which looks brilliant as well. All fall into that trap of there's icons everywhere. There's icon. You've got to do this. And it's your main story and blah, 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 blah. Now, what this does well, it gives you New York, but also goes, oh, look, there's a wider world there. Look, there's more of New York. You can't actually go there, so you are confined to this. Brilliant. Also, fair play, you don't get to go to the, not the Eiffel Tower, the Statue of Liberty. I could be American. I could really be American. You don't have to go all the way out to Vegas to see the Eiffel Tower. But you don't get to go to the Statue of Liberty as such, which I think was a really good decision, not to make that the focus of New York. Well done. And you get icons, like you have to go and take pictures of like famous landmarks. You have to go and collect your backpacks. There's research missions. There's like hideouts and places you have to take down. But it introduces those more as the game goes on and gives you time to focus on a set of them. So I've collected all the backpacks. I've done all the landmarks. I've done most of like the hideouts and the and all the crime missions and stuff like that, because they're drip fed to me throughout the game. So you get that balance, and it tells these little stories as you go. You hear them at street level, which you can't do with a film. But Spider-Man is obviously something that's gone beyond just a film or a game or a comic book or what or this or that and this and whatever. It's a whole thing, and Terminator's that as well now. And which is why I think that sometimes just mindlessly going in and shooting something with Terminator's got stuff going on is fine. It's why I'll go into these sort of games such as Terminator and ignore the story. Because I don't, Terminator, why are we doing it this time? All right, okay, John Connor's still not solved it all because you can't, and his mum's dead, but he's not dead, and he could die, but it doesn't really matter. And it's all going to happen anyway. But okay, let's go and shoot some things.
Yeah.
That's all you need. You don't need to then keep going, could you imagine if they turned around and started going, but poor Terminator's got feelings now. And you're going to feel sorry for him because we've got to tell a story, we've got to make it emotional. You don't want that. You just want a Terminator shoot shit.
Yeah.
And everything I've seen about that game and what you said about it as well makes it go, okay, someone gets a game with a franchise. It's good. It's good. I'm glad to hear it. You tempted me to actually go and buy it, Stu, is what I'm saying.
Well, no, I would. I don't know. Should you? Oh, I don't know. Play it on my account if you can. I'll have to do that.
I just like mindlessly shooting shit sometimes.
Oh, totally, yeah.
I don't. It's fine.
But going back to the whole worlds thing.
Yes.
I just like video game worlds. I said a few weeks ago, it'd be really good if there were more games that revisited worlds. Like, I don't mind. Like, it's really funny because like you got like this Last of Us remake thing, which is not remake, which is not necessary.
Sponsored by Craig David.
Yeah, let's not bring Craig into it again. Yeah, and I don't like that, but there's a good argument for like, well, one, you've got that world and those assets. It's great if you had other means to go back into them. So I don't mind if they go, right, here's a different game, like, Lost Legends, what it was, from Uncharted, or whatever it's called, where it's broadly the same assets and, roughly the same gameplay. But, it's different. It's just more of the same. It's like a DLC, but bigger. I don't mind that. I don't mind them going, we're using this game engine and these characters and we're doing something completely different with it. A bit like, although not exactly like Metal Gear Rising, just going into that world and using those resources to make a new game sometimes is a really good thing, because to move on and not use those things ever again can be a bit of a waste, really. So it's nice to see them, nice to give you that experience.
100%. And I've always said I will back this to again until I'm done with video games, and when I'm lying in the ground or spread on I don't know,
toast,
Johnson's face as ashes, whatever.
Right.
But it's video game worlds are wasted. I said they are absolutely wasted, because you create masterpieces. The Spider-Man version of New York is sublime. It's amazing. Now I get why Grand Theft Auto couldn't use Spider-Man's New York, because it's got Avengers Tower in it, but it's a video game. It's assets. You could just take Avengers Tower out of New York for the Grand Theft Auto game. I want to see these worlds that are created used in more games. It's like Grand Theft Auto. My favourite Grand Theft Auto, even if it's not the best, is still 4. And that's because you added stories into that world. The Ballad of Gay Tony and stuff like that. They all fitted into that world, and they reused that world. And that's what I want to see happen more and more, is these worlds that are created, let's tell more stories within them. And I want to see more done with these worlds that we're creating, rather than just one and done. Sorry, that was a real tangent, but yeah.
No, I think it all ties in. It's it's a really important one to, like you say, you create all these assets, you create this world, everyone agrees it's brilliant, and then you never revisit it. And it's like, well, that's probably because we got a hangover from film, where obviously once you're finished, everyone's gone home for the day and the film's in the can, you have to dismantle the sets. But you don't have to do that with games. You're always going to have the sets, you're always going to have those assets. And putting new stuff into old places is not it doesn't necessarily have to just be an asset flip chasing the cash. It's often a very good thing. So yeah, no, it's good.
Cool. Excellent. Right, I'm striking one of the games I've played off the list, because that went on that one. That was a discussion. Ooh.
Yep.
So first up is a game called You Suck at Parking.
Just a very quick interjection from Future Stew here. Ooh, Future Stew. Just to say that this was recorded on the Thursday, and on the Friday it was announced that You Suck at Parking is coming to Game Pass on the 14th of September, which is 2 weeks from the time of recording, basically. So that's cool. So if you want to dip in, go for it. You can bear this in mind when you're listening to our review.
Which is I don't know how to describe it. It's a driving stroke racing stroke puzzle arcadey type game, where basically you've got a racing car along a track and stop it in a certain position to park it. Which should sound boring, but it's 3D, it's arcadey, it's zany, there's power-ups, it's colourful, it's fast, it's frantic. And yeah, the idea of the game is you've got to go fast and then stop in a certain position. And it's out in preview. It doesn't actually come out until later this month. But I've somehow had this game for what feels like ever. I must have got a really early preview version of it, and I've checked, there's no embargo, or the embargo for the previews passed. I haven't seen embargoes for reviews. It's not technically a review, but anyway, lovely little game so far from what I've played of it. It starts off really simple, gets more and more complicated. It rewards you for trying things and being experimental. You just basically fling these different types of cars around different kinds of zany tracks, and the idea is to just nail the landing. And I just honestly, it's just a lovely little game. We just spoke about like epics and stuff like that you can play and rebuild all these worlds, and then this is the opposite end of the scale, where you've got something that's just more that don't die Mr. Robot thing of, look, here's a simple premise, here's how you do it, and there's plenty of customization, and it's silly, it's fun, it's high scores, there's leaderboards, it gets as complicated as you need, there's multiplayer parts of it as well, so it gets all like crazy there. And so far, they've always added in new content. They're updating it with new levels all the time and stuff like that. You can create your own levels, which is really good. Cars, etc., etc. I don't think the full version's not out yet. I don't know how close to what I'm playing is the full version, but just one of those where it's just a lovely, fun little game. Great time waster.
Nice, yeah. It kind of, checking my notes, it looks like a sort of cross between Micro Machines and what's that one called? The Evil Knievel style rip-off one, not a rip-off, where you had to do like tricks, stunts.
Joe Danger.
That's the one. Yeah,
yes, Joe Danger's really good.
It looks like a Joe Danger style thing.
I really want Hello Games to go back to those sort of fun games that they was making.
Yeah, what are they doing now?
No Man's Sky.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was the thing, just sort of like, I mean, I'm not going into it, but they used to be really sort of like small indies, and, Murray was sort of like a really good guy to talk to, emailed him plenty of times. And he just went, unfortunately for him, I think it all just got way too much for him. Him getting compared to Peter Molyneux was not fair. Was not fair on him. he was wrong with what he was saying, but he got a lot of abuse, and fair play for making that game stick. Go back, make it Joe Danger 3. Take some time out, just make a fun little game again. But yeah, this anyway, that's a sidetrack. This is just, yeah, you are right, aesthetically, very much like that. It doesn't control as simply as that. It is a bit awkward to get used to, I will say that. But I just enjoy it. It's one of those where I will gladly go, yeah, I'll play that for 10 minutes. And it has its place. Fair play to it. But yeah, if you get a chance, I don't know how much it's going to be. I think that will be quite important. Because I think if this comes in at less than 15 quid, yes. If it comes in at less than a tenner, yes. Anything over that, I don't think it'll get the numbers it should get based on its gameplay alone. But I enjoy it. It's a really good game. Great fun to play. Keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, that's interesting what you were saying about No Man's Sky. What I think is a good takeaway from it is, yeah, okay, he was potentially overambitious, potentially wasn't ready for the limelight and oversold it to the public in a way that wasn't intentional. It was just unfortunate. But the long-term goal, the way that he's got to where he is, well, how he is now, how things are now with that game, are all positives, and people love it, and it still sells loads. So it's kind of like he got there eventually with what he was trying to create, which is great, really. I'm glad that's how history will see it. A rocky start, but got really good. Probably more to say about all that stuff than there is to say about You Suck at Parking, which, looks nice, but not going to be the next No Man's Sky. But
I mean, amazing if it did become the next No Man's Sky, I suppose.
It'd be quite funky. Yeah, they'd have to make it so that the cars could evolve into something else. That might be quite a good idea. But
parking in space.
It looks good.
Oh, You Suck at Docking. There you go. There's their sequel. You can have that. Happy Volcano, you can have that one for free. Just send me a review code. You suck at docking.
You suck at pegging. That's what I thought when you said that.
Okay, based on our off-air conversation, no. No, Stuart. No.
No.
But yeah. But no, it's really good. Give it a look. It's a free demo at the moment. I hate saying free demo. There's a demo. All demos should be free. I think all demo. Well, unless you're Kojima, then not all demos are free. Demos are mostly free, but there's a demo for it on Steam, is what I'm saying. Jesus Christ. Why can't I just say something to the point?
Well, you know the answer.
Yeah, I know the answer.
That's the important thing.
Right.
You know where these things come from.
Yes.
You're a happy enough guy.
Well, I am now, yes.
Yeah.
Save me, Stu. Tell me something else you've been playing before I go on to the big ticket item.
I know what's coming, but I've been playing a kind of medium ticket icon. Oh God, I'm doing it now.
I've broken you.
You have. It's taken all this time, but I'm finally there. I'm in pieces. No, the PS5 cavalcade of second-hand goodness is continuing, and the latest one is Demon's Souls, which I've said on this podcast many a time that I'm not a fan of Soulsborne games, but I wanted to get it on a technical level, and also deliberately to follow a load of YouTube videos and see how I could, really get to grips with it fast, because it's a very opaque game. They're very opaque, all of them, at how to do things, get into them. One of the reasons why Returnal is so good, because it doesn't do that. It does the necessary hand-holding, but that's another story. But Demon's Souls, start off with PS5 version, looks very good. So it's a lovely looking game. It's I think it's focused on the right things, atmosphere and lighting, rather than just being tons of polys. It doesn't seem to be particularly high polygon. It's not going to make your jaw drop in terms of the draw distance or the scale or anything like that, but the lighting and the smoke and all of that kind of things, really good, very, very atmospheric, and of course carries over the great creature designs from the original. All of that is really good. So the only question that remains, because there's not much point talking about Demon's Souls after 10 years, is how do I like it? Has it actually won me over? And to a degree, it almost has, I think. So it doesn't have at its core all the things I would want from an action game. And they're kind of like action RPGs, but they're not even anywhere near that, really. They're Zelda-y in terms of their way that you upgrade yourself, really. And I think there's so many brilliant things in these games. I have never criticised... Well, I'm sure I have, but I don't criticise these games. I think they're great. I'm mystified how they've become a global phenomenon, because they seem to be like the types of things that most regular gamers who pick up a console and, you know, might pick up, you know, something by Ubisoft, something by Bethesda, something by Activision, you know, just general gamers, wouldn't ever go near. And even if they did, play it for like 10 minutes and then be like, oh my god, what's this? But no, it's a global phenomenon. Glad that it is. But it does have all of those things in it that I'm like, yeah, it's got that one more go factor, because you get a little bit incrementally further each time, a little bit stronger each time. But at the core, the combat's not great. It's very, very basic, and that's deliberate, and that's absolutely fine. And it's more about patience and timing and precision, and yeah, patience. Really, it's just location, but applied to video games. It's patience. So yeah, you have to be very, very patient. You have to pay a lot of attention. Anything can kill you. And yeah, that's kind of both irritating and frustrating and thrilling at the same time. And I think that the people who love the games, which is the majority, the irritation is enough to be like an itch that you can finally scratch, you know? I fall on the other side of it a little bit. I'm kind of like, yeah, but I could be playing Metal Gear Rising, just to go back to that, where, you know, the combat is so in depth and complex, and you know, it's also precise, but it's so fast, and you're not constantly going back to the start. But that's me. So yeah, I have a complex relationship with these games, and I think that the public have a complex relationship with them as well, probably. What I love is that, to use a broad gaming euphemism, is that I think gamers have leveled up. I think they're ready to accept a new form of interaction with this. It's reached a new plateau. And I think that's amazing. And I like the fact I own it and I've been able to experience it, because it's a watershed kind of moment in gaming, really. And yeah, it's very, very good for all those reasons.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's very good for all those reasons. It's also those reasons why I struggle to play those games, but always want to play those games. I mean, for a start, your description of Demon Souls, I wasn't sure if you was describing Demon Souls or Australia, by the way.
Well, because of all the
anything can kill you. Yeah, anything can kill you.
Anything can kill you, yeah.
You know, what they should do if I was Australia, my next tourism poster would be a Dark Souls poster. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one I've got the most success with is Bloodborne. I just really got into that, but I lost my copy of it, and I tried to go back and I can't. I think you have to play those games and play them. You can't play them, move on, come back into them. You have to completely entwine yourself into those games. You have to, you know, become engrossed, and they have to consume your every moment of gaming life. For me, anyway, because I think the second you come out of the rhythm of those games, that's it. You're done. You're absolutely done. And you can't then work back through from the start, because it just doesn't... I mean, you can, but it doesn't work like that. Even because I know you can go through various different... I mean, it's a roguelite, essentially, in some areas. It's a roguelite stroke Metroidvania. Stroke Souls-like.
Yeah.
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 Never thought about it like that before. Anyway, but yeah, it's one of those I can't pick up and play. I need to go for it. I mean, I've still got what's the latest one called that everyone raved about? The Lord of the Rings style one.
Elden Ring.
That's the one. I played a little bit of it and then got distracted, and it's like, well, I'm glad I've not actually started it properly yet, because that would have just been a complete waste of time otherwise, because I would never go back to it.
Yeah.
Whereas I kind of got going, went, oh, I'm dead, and so I don't know what I'm doing. And then something else I had to review, played that, got distracted, never got around to it. So I could go to that one again, and I feel that's going to be the one I will play as much as I did, like Bloodborne. But I struggle with them, especially the actual Souls games. I don't know what it is about those, but I get to a certain point in all of those and just go, I'm done. I just can't do them.
Well, yeah, and I think part of that has got to be because you're playing the same thing in the same area over and over again. You know,
that don't bother me. I love doing that.
Yeah, I was going to say some people really, really love that. And also there's the quirk of it is a totally new type of game, really, because it's like an RPG in that the actual hits, you don't get your thrill from completing a move because the moves are very basic, and the animation on the characters and the hit reactions, they're all very, very basic, and there's hardly any physics involved in it as well. It's not really about that. It's kind of like a niche of a niche, like bullet hell shooters. So it's like, I always say, like, oh, you can talk to people about a niche genre like shooters, and say, oh, have you played Space Invaders, haven't you? You've played Galaga, maybe. You've played Centipede, you might have played R-Type, you might have played Raiden, all of these things. But a bullet hell shooter is about the screen being filled with bullets, and you have to move your ship into one tiny little area of it. And the number of people who go, yep, no, is absolutely vast. And bullet hell shooters are a niche of a niche. And they sell, but they only sell to a tiny market. And the weird thing is that Soulsbornes are exactly the same. They're a niche of a niche, but somehow they've become the global dominant game. And that, to me, is amazing. Even though they're not my thing, I think it's incredible. And it's just, how did we get here? I'm glad we did, really. But how?
I think it's the same way that you get the the Metroidvanias, the roguelikes and things like that, and how nigh on every match-free blockbusting puzzle is compared to Tetris. The only thing that surprises is we haven't got a Tetris-like as a genre. I think it's great when a game does that. I mean, I would argue like the Souls-like game. I wouldn't even say like Demon Souls is the best in class. I don't think a game to spawn a genre doesn't need to be best in class.
No.
It just needs to be that one thing that people go, oh wow, there's something here. Because I will say the first Metroid, the first Castlevania, they're not the best.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the imagination in the Metroidvania genre. One, because neither of them are actual Metroidvanias.
Yeah.
One's a Castlevania game, and the other one's a Metroid game. It's only after that they both became actual Metroidvanias in their own right.
Yep.
But yeah, it's that one thing where people go either, oh my god, look at what this game has done, or they take two genres of games or two types of games and go, if we put these together, we've got something here. And then that comes the, oh wow, yeah, okay, this works, and that's spawned from there. And it's, sometimes you might be lucky and your game might be the one that spawns that genre, like Demon Souls did, or maybe Dark Souls is the one that could be credited with spawning that as a whole. Or people go, oh my god, this game's like taking bits of that, so it's like these two combined, and that's what spawns the genre, for example. But I like, you go on to like Steam now, you look at categories, and there's so many of them. excuse me, there are so many that are just together now, and it's just brilliant to see that, you know, the amount of genres there are. I mean, you used to talk about genres of, oh, there's an action game, a puzzle game, an adventure game, a sports game, and that was pretty much all it is. But now you could get like a sports action real-time strategy games in, like, you know, the Inazuma 11 games, which are real-time strategy, but they're also turn-based. They're sports games, but action. And you go, like, you say to someone, oh, you got a strategy-based football game. Oh, what, like Football Manager? No, not like Football Manager. Football Manager is more just a strategy game rather than a real-time strategy game, and it's all text-based. But this is a strategy game, it's real-time, it's actual football, etc., etc. So, you know, because all these genres are going everywhere now. It's just brilliant, but it's all because of games that take these risks and go, what can we do? And then spawn something, and subgenres that come from it are all brilliant. Demon Souls, it's not a game for me, but I will very much hold my hands up and go, I get why that's a loved game. I get why people love that game. I don't like it, and I never got on with it, but I get it. I really do get it from other people's point of views.
Yes, yeah. No, I'm totally on the same page. Feel exactly the same way about it, and I think it's great. The only, you know, when you think about dominance, that's absolutely fine, and you may be a bit kind of like, oh yeah, the elements of like roguelikes and Soulsborns are creeping into games that they possibly shouldn't, but you still can buy the other games. The only one that, well, there are two actually that have become dominant that are annoying, which we've talked about loads, so I'm not like opening this up. This is the bookend.
If you say deck builders, it's over.
No, mate, you're all right. You're okay. You're safe. No, I was going to say Simcade for racers, whereas I always think that arcade should be the default, and there should be sim games and Simcade. It shouldn't be that every single one of them is a Simcade or a sim. And sports games all being sims by all the major publishers, and yes, that's frustrating because they do block out other things coming in the AAA market, but it doesn't work that way with Soulsborns, which is cool. So yes, I think at the end all we're saying is we both really like their existence. We just don't generally enjoy their gameplay all that much.
No, perfect, and it leads nicely into the game. It leads into the game. Now, I'm just going to preface this. I'm not actually going to say much of anything about the game itself. There's going to be no spoilers about gameplay, about story, about anything about the actual game. All I'm going to say is, if this isn't my game of the year for 2022, then whatever comes out in the last 5 months of the year, 6 months, 4 months, whatever it is, 3 months, whatever.
4, because we're at the beginning of September, so 4,
Whatever comes out in the next 4 months is going to be spectacular. And I mean spectacular beyond spectacular, because this is it. This is my game of the year, and that's Immortality. Sam Barlow, for me, has done it again. And I'm going to say a lot of this. This is me. This is for me. He's absolutely done it again. Her story was a work of genius. I know you wasn't a big fan, Stu, and I appreciate that. Telling Lies, I thought, was really, really good, but lacked something that her story lacked. I think it's because it had some recognisable faces in it. And I hate that people call, like, the male lead in that the Poundland Tom Hardy. That's very unfair. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's been in a couple of half decent-ish films and is fairly well known. He unfortunately looks a little bit like Tom Hardy.
Yeah, he's called Logan Marshall Green, I think.
Thank you. You've got notes up. Have you got proper notes up?
That was actually straight from the memory bank, amazingly enough.
Very, very good. Well done. And also, it's got a character in it who, it didn't occur to me until I rewatched Scrubs. It's got the woman in it who plays Lucy in season 9 of Scrubs in it.
Right.
who I completely forgot about, and a couple of other people who have been in other bits. Now, there's no issue with that, with telling lies. I think what Sam tried to do was, can he take what he done with her story and get in other performers, and more well-known performers? Can we get something else from it? Because the person he had in her story was a complete unknown, and put in one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen for a solo actress in front of a camera. The emotion and everything that was conveyed in that, regardless of what you might think of the gameplay and the overall experience, her performance was, oh my god, it was special. Telling lies, I think, I say, he tried to bring in something else and make it more of a, I don't want to say professionals wrong, but more of a well-known cast. What can we do with this? Maybe to try and get more sales, who knows? And I don't think it worked. I think Sam Barlow works best with unknown people who you can believe might actually be this. As soon as you recognise someone in one of these, yes, they're an actor. They're not potentially that person, and that's where Telling Lies fell short for me. I actually enjoyed the gameplay of it, the idea of being like this computer that you're working through and stuff like that. But yeah, it lacked that little something. Immortality, he's gone the other way, and this is brilliant. Everyone in this game is famous in the game world. They're all known in the game world. You know, you've got these sleazy producers, this actress who went missing, etc., and they're all meant to be known people, or people who are into those sort of things are meant to know them. But all played by, from what I can tell, unknowns. On the whole, I might be wrong, but I don't recognise anyone in this game, which is brilliant. So. What I will say, and this is so people get an understanding of what this is, I'm just going to take this bit from the Steam review page to give people an idea of what it is. And this is the description. This is why it works if you go in not knowing anything. Okay, so Marissa Marcel was a film star. She made 3 movies, but none of the movies were ever released. And Marissa Marcel disappeared. An interactive trilogy, which is the final of a trilogy from a trilogy, is actually a trilogy within a trilogy. Anyway, trilogy from Sam Barlow, creator of her story. That's the description. It's a hidden object, choose your own adventure noir. You have no idea what that game is from that, because most people consider a hidden object game as one of those things where you literally click on things hidden behind trees or in bushes and crap like that. It's not that at all. It's not a choose your own adventure like other choose your own adventures. You're not going, oh yeah, I will do this and then see where that goes. Disco Elysium is a choose your own adventure. This is not a choose your own adventure, or is it? In parts, who knows? Play the bloody game. But even you go down to the game's description, and this is why I think like this is where Sam is brilliant. You go down to about this game, and it tells you about the films that were meant to have been made, shows you posters for the films, the years they were made, etc. Nothing about the game. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
And this tells you it's a mystery. And oh boy, it is a mystery. But what I want to talk about, so just go and play the game. I already feel I've said too much, and I don't want to say anymore. Just play the bloody game. It's less than 15 quid, and boy, that's how much it costs to go to a movie. You've got 3 films here. Just play the bloody game. What I want to talk about here is the discourse around Immortality. It is getting 10 out of 10s pretty much across the board. I've seen some 9 out of 10s and some 8 out of 10s. And then I have seen a couple of people who've just not understood the game at all and given it low scores. Fine. That's your personal opinion. I'm okay with someone going, this is crap. I'm okay with that. That's fine. Your experience is, this is crap. That's fine. These sort of games can't be for everyone. We just spoke about Dark Souls, or Souls-likes, and how, I suppose, like, I get it. They're brilliant. I don't like them. I can't get on with them apart from one that I particularly did. Metal Gear Solid. I've never got on with Metal Gear Solid, and trust me, I've tried to get on with the Metal Gear series. I just can't get on with them. But it's fine. I understand they are brilliant to the people who like them. Now, come to a Sam Barlow game. Her story. I remember you saying you didn't like it, but you appreciated what it was doing. Which is how I react. If you don't like a game like this and everyone else is, it's getting rave reviews, it's fine to go, I don't get it. I don't like it because of this. But you appreciate that other people do. And that's a fine reaction to a game you don't particularly like or wasn't what you expected. Trying to tell people why they shouldn't like a game, that's not acceptable. That is not acceptable. You can't turn around to someone and go, well, this isn't a game because what was this? All you're doing is this, or you're only doing this. All you're doing is watching. You're not, though. You're not watching. I remember speaking about playing Her Story for the first time. And I basically sat there. I had notes written down, post-its, etc, etc, etc. I felt like, personally, I was the detective in that game, and I was trying to piece together these interviews to find any little slip of the tongue, any little mistake. Why she mentioned this? Was this on purpose? Let's type that in, and what can we find from that? Has she mentioned it again at any point? And it's open-ended, and it leads you to, like, what do you think? And then I feel, it doesn't let you do it in game, but then for you to get up and go, right, I've got all my evidence. Where's the chief? And then realising, I'm still in my living room in my pants. I'm not actually a detective who's been in a dark office in the police station for the last 20 odd hours trying to understand all these interviews. You watch all the interviews and go, I totally believe that. Yeah, that's totally spot on. This is my conclusion. You might not. You might go through and go, I don't trust this at all. And your conclusion becomes something completely different. And Immortality is the same. I've heard people go, well, all you're doing is clicking through. You're just watching and clicking. You can just randomly click around and you'll complete the game. No, that's not the game. The game isn't to reach an end point. The game is... You're given this task and you're trying to uncover something. There's a mystery here. All you're told is Marissa Martin. People go, I don't know her backstory. That's the point. All we know is there's this actress who made 3 films, never released, and has gone and has disappeared. Now, no one said she's been taken and disappeared. Nothing like that. You're not told that there's something sinister going on. There may be, there might not be. It does not. You do not know. And you go through. I mean, we're going through. This game starts off. The first film is from 1968. This is nowhere near spoilers because this is in the description of the film, which is a gothic novel called Ambrosio, an adaptation. Couldn't tell you if that's a real novel. The Monk or not. I couldn't tell you if that's a real novel or if M.G. Lewis is a real person or not. Really couldn't. Whatever. It's like basically it's meant to be like, I suppose, like a sexy romp type thing. 1970s is a thriller based film set in New York, and 1999 is another thriller, but a different type of thriller.
Yes, it is real.
And it's okay. My research part's just gone. That is a real book by a real person. So the fake adaptate, the real could be real. You never know. We could be finding on something. But anyway, the adaptation of the film adaptation in Immortality is based on a real book by a real author. So there you go, clarity there. But there's a lot of exploitation at certain points. But then the later films lose that exploitation, but still have some stuff from the time that's a bit, oh God, that doesn't age well. But not you're watching this and going, oh, that hasn't aged well. It works in the context of what you're doing, and it's just the people I've seen arguing just seem to want oh, I need instructions on what to do with this game. Why is it not letting me go down the path? Have I got to click this? Well, no, you haven't. Oh, I'll just click. Do I watch all of this? Well, you can watch all that clip if you want, or you could go right. I've clicked on her eyes there because something about her eyes in that clip attracted me to want to click them. Okay, you might go. Okay, let's watch this scene. Oh, this goes into another scene. Oh, they've put that in there. Oh, that's in that film. Okay, let's watch that. I feel a bit perverse watching this. And then you get another one that, is this a private moment? Is this actually part of the film? Is this a private moment? Oh, the way they're talking to each other. Oh, this is from an award ceremony now. And you go through this journey. You learn about Marissa Marcel through these clips. And the game, the experience is about learning about Marissa Marcel as if you don't know her. You've just been tasked by someone to go, look, we need to find out who this person is. What can we find out? And that's your job, is to find out. This is what I need you to do. Go and do it. And that's what Sam Barlow does. You are the game. That's the only way I can describe a Sam Barlow game. You are not playing a Sam Barlow game. Sam Barlow is playing a you game. And what you get out of it is down to you. And this is the most convoluted review stroke opinion of a game probably ever committed to paper or air. And I can't help it because, again, you cannot... This is not a game for everyone. But the point I want to make to a lot of people is, honestly, if you don't enjoy it, fine. There are reasons not to enjoy this game. I get why people won't like this. But for what it is... What this is Sam Barlow's magnum opus. Opus magnum, whichever way round. One's a game, one's a saying. Don't know which way round it is.
Magnum opus, yeah.
Yes, this is magnum opus. There we go. Opus magnum's the game, isn't it?
Possibly.
Yes.
Don't know it.
Once it's a Zachtronics game. And I'm sure it's called... Anyway, this is Sam Barlow's magnum opus. It is brilliant. If this is him done... with this sort of game, that's it. He's peaked. This, if it's only downhill from here, stop, because this is it. This has gone up into my top 2 all-time favourite games, which used to go Tetris, Super Mario World, Her Story. Now goes Tetris, Immortality, Super Mario World as my top 3 games. It's that damn special to me.
Excellent. Cool. Well, yeah, a lot to unpack there.
That went on.
I'm just going to edit it down to, I like this game.
And they turned it into a Sam Barlow game.
Yeah, that would be quite ironic and very much in his wheelhouse. But no, I really liked Her Story. I suffered because... how to phrase it without spoilers?
I think you said to me you worked it out.
I did, yes. Yeah. I did. I worked out what was going on really from the beginning, which is a surprise because I'm one of those who doesn't like I watched The Sixth Sense all the way through going, oh my god, and then I was completely shocked at the twist.
I ruined it for a whole cinema, don't worry.
Yeah, well done.
That's when the ADHD realisation should have dropped, when I just sat there and went, oh, he's dead. Right. In the cinema.
Bloody hell. Everybody hated you at that point.
Yeah.
No, I got it too early. And so that kind of, it kind of made it, well, I know what's going on. I just need to piece together the things so I can get out the other end. But I still enjoyed it. I played that one, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I played that on tablet. I definitely played it on a portable device. And it really suited it. And
yeah,
I think the way that people approach these things does make a big difference. I think, hearing that it's coming to Netflix, hearing it's coming to iOS, I think these are really important. I actually think they're a better home for this kind of experience. Because, I really enjoyed, what was it, Bandersnatch? The Charlie Brooker. Yeah, I enjoyed that on Netflix. And some people, I don't know, they were like, oh, I expected more. I don't know what they expected, like the telly to explode at the end, or for the characters to crawl out on TV or something. But I don't know
If
what
Charlie
they were
Brooker
after.
could, if Charlie Brooker could have
True.
done that, he would have.
He would have done it. Too much cost. But yeah, I was like, yeah, no, it's really good. What's it meant to be? It's meant to be a 15-20 minute experience, you know, that you haven't seen before. And it reminds me more of that and Sambarlo's stuff, of experiences at art installations, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Which get a bad rap for being pretentious, but a lot of them are actually genuinely really good. And the mixed media really brings you in, you know. So I get a little bit... I understand people going, I pay for Game Pass, I've put this on as a game, and it's not really a game. Now, I do kind of understand that. But at the same time, it's like, well, you should be trying to expand what a game is so that you get more experiences in your life, rather than just being trammeled down one path, you know. So, again, like this is very much the theme of this episode is... I'm not necessarily a fan, but I really appreciate what it's doing.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that has to be it. That has to be what you take away from games. It's you can't like everything, and I'm not telling you to like Immortality. I'm never going to tell anyone you must like Immortality. I'm not even telling everyone you must go and try it. I get why this has been put on Game Pass, or why Sam might have accepted, you know, a contract or a payment to get this onto Game Pass, because you've got to earn a living from these. If we want more to come, if I want more to come, he's got to earn a living from them. And the sort of games he makes, he potentially makes more through Game Pass or Netflix and stuff than he does selling them just on Steam or iOS as full price titles.
Yeah.
So I get it. However, from a creativity point of view and an audience point of view, I think it's a mistake putting them on services like that. Because people have... And I've done this with games where I've gone, I'll give this a go. I don't like this. But it didn't cost me anything, so I'm not going to put all the time I'll need into it. And that's what people are going to do with Immortality. But you need to put the time into it to get what Sam Barlow's vision is. And if you're turned off immediately by that, by what's there, you're not going to get it. And I don't think... It's not even a hook within the game. But there are points of the game that you kind of even with Her Story does it, where you kind of, you're sitting there, you maybe even watching intently, you're going through going, I'll make a note of that word or something, or in this I'll go, oh, I remember that from there, so I'll scrub back to that, and then you do it, and then you go, oh yes, and it draws you in. The problem with a Game Pass or game that's free, you need that instantly, and none of Sam Barlow's games do it instantly, because that, you know, I think can ruin the experience or get you to that point. It's like a psychological horror where there's a big unknown coming out right at the start and going, hello, hi there, yes, I'm your killer. You can't do that. You have to build to it, and that's what the Sam Barlow games do. But Game Pass doesn't allow them to do that properly. But I get why it's on there. I get why he needs to get it on there, because people are going to be more aware of Immortality than they are any of his other games.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just, it's special. I can't even say I loved it, because I hated it at places as well. This is why we got to not. I don't know if to like not enjoyed it, because I enjoyed the overall thing, but it's hard mentally in some places as well. So it wasn't just like a joyful jaunt throughout this thing. It was damaging in some respects, but in a good way, which again is so hard to convey without ruining it. So honestly, if you are even vaguely interested, if you are going to try out a Game Pass, don't just dismiss it after 5-10 minutes. Give it time. If you honestly get hours into it and you're like, I just don't get it. Fine, that's fine, I get it. But it's not a bad game because you didn't get it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we've definitely showcased both sides of that today. Yeah, excellent.
Amazing how we can put themes into stuff without actually planning.
I know, right?
I know.
That's our genius.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah, it was good though, and yeah, I'm playing it, downloading it now on Game Pass. So yeah, I'll definitely have an opinion on it.
Yeah, next week, guide. What the fuck were you talking about, you
Brad?
idiot?
I hate you.
And I've not played Immortality yet.
Yeah, it's Immortality free. It's just a hatred of Brad. But there you go. But yeah, so as usual, follow us on all the socials. Check out our Patreon. Feel free to subscribe. We have lots of offers and lots of stuff coming up. Also, join us on Discord if you want to have a chat about any subjects at all. And in the meantime, stay safe and stay sane.